This is a very important weekend for both Christians and Jews. The Jewish festival of Passover began last night, and Christians mark Easter Sunday tomorrow.
So at this holy time, we wanted to take a few minutes this morning to talk about the state of religion today. Joining us is our special panel here, faith and religion contributor, Father Edward Beck, also Rabbi Mark Golub, president of Shalom TV, and from Washington this morning, columnist Andrew Sullivan of the Daily Beast and Newsweek. Andrew, I want to start with you. We should mention you're a longtime Catholic, by the way, and you wrote a rather provocative article in Newsweek that is called Christianity in Crisis. The subheadline Newsweek put on this said, Christianity's been destroyed by politics, priests, and get-rich evangelists. We've seen crises before. Is it especially bad right now?
Well, it is especially bad for one reason only, is that when I go and see young people, their image of Christianity these days is one of judgment, intolerance, and to some extent bigotry and politics. They associate it with one political party in this country because of the fusion of evangelical and ultra-Orthodox Catholics with the Republican Party. They don't see it as the message of Jesus. They don't see it anymore as a message of love and of forgiveness. And they see it as a bunch of people trying to control their lives through political mechanisms. Or if they're in the evangelical church, they're also susceptible to things like the prosperity gospel, which is saying that Jesus told you to get rich. There's so much of bad religion right now in this country that I felt it was important as a Christian to say, this is not what I believe. This is not what many of my fellow Catholics believe. We want to return to the message of Jesus in the Gospels, not these obsessive battles over contraception or gay marriage or these other, I think, political issues where Jesus really, really avoided politics at all costs.
Father Beck, do you agree then with Andrew's premise that Christianity is in crisis?
I wouldn't be as pessimistic as Andrew is right now. I think if you look at our country, we remain a country of believers and a country who has faith that religion has meaning and can do a lot of good. Now, I think what's been interesting in this political season, what we've seen is that religion can also be used as a wedge and can be divisive. We've had the religion of political candidates denigrated. We've had our president's religion questioned. And so people have been using religion in divisive ways. And I guess what I'm so happy about this week is, we have Passover, Easter together. We see the convergence of our religious traditions, what we hold in common, not so much what divides us.
Rabbi, to Andrew's point here, a poll from the Pew Research Center, these are some staggering numbers, I think. Is there too much expression of religious faith and prayer by political leaders? What Andrew was just talking about there. Look at the numbers, compare them between 2001 and 2012. And the number of people who feel that politicians are manipulating religion is stunning. Too much?
Most American Jews don't relate to a lot of discussion of religion in politics. At the same time, the Religious Action Center in Washington did a study of their own they just published. And the most important thing to Jews is a sense of social justice from within the American government. So that from a Jewish perspective, what we want is a government and a culture that cares about people. It's all about people. And as Father Beck just said, what we're trying to do with this season is unite together in a spirit that respects the dignity and the sanctity of every human being.
Andrew, you talk about trying to return to some of the essential teachings of Jesus, as you talk about Thomas Jefferson once did. Any indication people are starting to do that?
Unfortunately, I think there are a lot of conversations going around outside the hierarchies of these churches about how to reclaim Jesus from the distortions of politics and from the way in which Jesus has become part of even partisan politics in this country. So I'm not pessimistic, as the Father said. I'm optimistic about the faith. I'm pessimistic about the church. I mean, we've seen in the last 10 or 15 years, certainly in the West, in places like Ireland, for example, an ultimately Catholic country, a complete collapse of the church. We've been we've been exposed to the fact that the Catholic hierarchy was essentially an international conspiracy to rape children for many years, and the people responsible for that have yet to resign or yet to take full responsibility. That has created a rift, I think, just as the current obsession with contraception by the bishops in this country does not resonate with people trying to find Jesus in their lives. It feels like the church is trying to make a power play instead of being the powerless force of faith that Jesus represented.
Do you agree with that, Father Beck?
Father?
I think, with all due respect, that Andrew is being a little simplistic, and in his article, he was a little simplistic. Even in quoting the Jeffersonian Bible, if you take out the quotes of Jesus, as if they are actual quotes, all of the Bible is interpretation of those who wrote it, including the quotes of Jesus. So to say we can just live, as Andrew does this in his article, as St. Francis, or just do what Jesus did, it's all through the interpretation of a community that gathered together to try to be led by a spirit of what that founder had in mind. And we continue to try to do that. So if you have a human institution such as the church, it's going to be sinful. It's going to have failings.
Are you hopeful, Rabbi?
Very hopeful, and I feel bad for the fact that there's this discussion at the moment. I really can't take part in it. I only know this. We're celebrating Passover. It is a delicious Jewish moment when families get together from all over the country, come together, sit around a table, and express the value that no human being should ever enslave another. And that ultimately, I would hope that the Catholic Church is really in the same mode. No one wants to enslave another human being, and that what we're trying to do is create a world in which people are as lovely as they can possibly be. And for the Jew, it's all about being together with people and the Jewish culture, and that's what Passover is.
Well, on that note, we will wish all of you a happy Easter and a happy Passover. Thank you for
too.
being with us. We
It was a
really
pleasure.
appreciate it.